Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Let's Chat Reality. I'm Michael, and Molly is living her best life on vacation today, but in her place, we have I believe officially our most frequent guest on Let's Chat Reality now, with your
Wow.
fourth appearance here. I believe, maybe I'm wrong about that, I'd have to check, but
I'll
I
take
believe
it.
that is correct. It's our friend, Matt Scott. Matt, how are you?
I'm happy to be here. Look, you said Molly's not here. You let me know her excuse. I wonder if part of it's that she didn't win this draft and she didn't feel like showing her face. But either way, I miss Molly. I wish you were here. I was looking forward to rubbing it in.
Yes. I'm sure, Matt, no spoiler, but I'm sure you will be back for a season 50 draft and we'll be able to do more rubbing it in
Oh, bring me
then.
back. Yeah, I have my contract signed with you, so I have
Yes.
at least 3 seasons in my contract, so I have to be here
Right.
for 50.
Yeah, 3 seasons at a time.
Yeah.
But Matt, what's been new? It's been a few months since you've been on. What's new in your life?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, so much, but I feel like even just like thinking about Survivor, I mean, this fall, like many of the other seasons. I feel like this fall I had a lot of time at Survivor watch parties. So
Hmm.
RHAP, I was with RHAP in New York City and also in San Francisco. And then I was also at Bryson Wen. Well, at Bryson Wen in Philadelphia, right before Thanksgiving. But I was at Bryson Wen's Aussie
Oh.
offshoot in October, so there was that too. I feel like there might have been another watch party in there somewhere. So, I mean, it's been a good survivor filled fall. I love it. And it's nice to be around the community and then like see people and like we of course first met in person at one of these watch parties and one of these live shows and so like that has a special place in my heart. So, I'm doing well and I'm happy to be here and it's been fun like tuning in, just popping in, seeing what you and Molly are talking about, feeling a little jealous along the way that I wasn't here for the conversations, but I knew I'd be back, so
Yes.
it worked out.
Definitely. Yeah, no, watch parties are so fun. I went to one last night for the finale and
Hmm.
in Houston, and it was great. It was a great turnout. It was great to just it was a good episode to watch with a bunch of people. I feel like because there were lots of moments that were unexpected, and we'll get into everything. But
Oh yeah,
yeah, it was very fun, and it made me excited for what we'll have for Survivor 50 coming up in just a couple months.
yeah. We'll get into it, but I will say I do feel like Survivor. And I see this in retrospect, but I think Survivor with 49, one knowing that they'd have returning players, of course, on 50, really wanted to set us up so that, like, in theory, if you just watched season 49 for the first time, or if you hadn't watched Survivor in a long time and you just watched 49, like, you want to follow the characters from 49 into 50. And I think they did a really great job at that. So we'll break it all down. There's so much from the finale to talk about, and
There really is.
I'm glad that it was exciting and it didn't feel like it dragged or anything like that. Like lots of fun moments along the way.
Yes, lots to talk about. But before we get into the finale, Matt,
Hmm.
what were your thoughts just kind of overall on the whole season, season 49? What are your feelings now that it's over?
You know what? Really underrated. I This is one of the things that I think frustrates me. Not to start with the negative, but just to get it out of the way, because
But
I
that means
think
you end with the positive, so I think that's good.
right,
Yeah.
right. We all have it in mind. But it's just that sometimes it's easy for us to perceive a season, whether that's 49 or even 50, and then come out with all of our takes about like what are they doing? This is boring. Like let's skip over 49. Who cares about 49? Let's get to 50. But Survivor did do a really great job with 49. I do think, it was formulaic in terms of a lot of what we've seen in the new era. We'll talk about the 50 preview, but like the furthest thing from formulaic, it seems, which I'm not even upset
Yeah.
about. I'm not upset about. I'm very open minded about it, even the Mr. Beast parts. But, I enjoyed this season and I felt like the players played really hard. We had a lot of great characters. We had some unprecedented elements, including Jake almost dying, which is like shocking. But
It
it
was like a
like
different season ago to me.
that was like a different show. That was
Yeah.
like ER or something like that for that episode. So I mean, and then so much else, especially from the finale. I feel like the finale was a huge highlight for me. So I love this season, and if I had a bell to ring, I would ring the bell for this season. It's definitely one of the better or more fun new era seasons from my perspective, just on the first watch, of course.
I agree. I think that this season will hold up really, really well on a rewatch.
Hmm.
Because to me, like, yes, the beginning was a little bit slow and predictable. Like, I think that that's universally relatively agreed upon. But to me, the post merge has been fantastic. And I agree with you. I think the finale was my favorite episode of the season, probably. So I
Yeah.
think that it really did end on a high, as high of a high as maybe it could have almost. But I think that knowing the Survivor 50 spoilers did like I think that it made the pre-merge even more predictable to a certain degree in like the
Yeah.
beginning of the merge because you're like, we haven't seen enough of these two people to make it make sense for them to be on 50. So there's no way that they go out this early. And
Yeah, exactly. And it's
yeah.
interesting too because there are definitely different levels of spoilers. I really have been like thankful to avoid most spoilers except for the cast for season 50. But it's interesting because even in seeing the cast, like immediately I was like, oh, I think like I wonder if there's a winner in the midst of the returnees. Just and then I mean obviously we saw things play out, so that was confirmed. But I don't know. I'm excited to like get into the episode. This was a lot of fun. I did have some like I was worried about the season. I wasn't sure how it'd go. I thought it'd be the Survivor 50 return. See, I'm not even gonna say their names yet because we haven't talked about them
I know.
officially.
I'm
But
like
the
it's
Survivor 50
it's
returnees
knowledge
show.
now. It was weird. They just put
Yeah.
them up on screen in the preview, but like they had not announced them before. So I feel like people really who were not spoiled must have been
Yeah.
like, "Oh, wait, what?" Like they're not
You
like
need to
making
watch
a big
closely.
announcement about it.
No announcement. And I do wish that I know that's the one thing I thought about when they were showing the preview. And then I mean like we saw Savannah properly in there. I feel like I barely saw Rizzo in the
See,
previous
I thought
one.
the kind of the well, I think Rizzo got a confessional. So
Yeah.
he was seen there. But then there were a couple of other people. Like I feel like we saw more of both of them than we did of a lot of other
There
people.
was a lot going on, honestly. Like there's a lot I missed. I did not miss the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol,
Oh
but
no,
at
hard to
one
miss
night
that.
I was like I was a little worried at one point, like, oh my gosh, am I okay? Like am I awake right now? Am I watching Survivor? Did I fall asleep? What's going on? And it didn't feel real. It didn't feel
I
real. It
know.
still doesn't feel real, but
Hearing Christian say like Jimmy Fallon's going to decide my fate. Where am I?
I need to watch that preview again about 20 times. I mean, like so excited for that season that's coming up. And I do really feel for people who were on 49 because it is a really tough task to be on a season that a lot of people are looking past, and yet like some of them get to continue their legacy. I mean, I really feel like the story of 49 gets to continue on into season 50. So that's
And
more
I
than
think
can be said for a lot of seasons.
right, and I think for that reason 49 will be more remembered than 39 because 30 nobody from 39 was on 40. And I think
Mm,
that really hurt. Like 39 by itself was not the greatest season.
yeah.
But like even the fact that like there was no continuing story between 39 and 40, and I think that makes it feel even more of an afterthought looking back now. Whereas I think 49, there will be this continuing story of Rizzo and Savannah. So I think like
Yeah.
it will help 49 be more well remembered as long as the two of them have some sort of story during 50.
Oh, totally. And just, I mean, and they will, of course, in some way, shape, or form.
But with 24
But
people, I guess you never know. I don't know how they're
yeah,
going to
I
do
mean,
it.
maybe they won't cross paths. Who knows if they'll cross paths or not? And there's a good chance I think that they aren't. I mean, in my mind, and we're not even really talking about 50, but I worry for them because I feel like for no one else knows them. There's this idea of like better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And it's like, well, does that mean that you take out the two people who just got here who may or may not be telling you the truth? Looking back to Russell Hantz in his
Right.
first returning season. And so I'm interested in seeing that. But I just want to give kudos to Survivor production for um, really doing a great job setting us up for 50 with 49. Obviously, it felt like every single episode, Jeff was mentioning 50 at least once. And that was intentional that they showed that. That was intentional that they were referencing 50. That's intentional that they kept in references or included references to some of the players who were going to be on Survivor 50. So I mean, from that standpoint, I think it was really brilliant because they could have just had another random Survivor season that didn't have any returnees going on to the next one. Honestly, maybe if things went differently in 39, we would have seen a returnee from 39 on 40, but it is what it is.
Yeah, well, the world will never know.
Hmm.
But Matt, last thing before we get into this episode, I do have to congratulate you on
Me?
winning our draft. Preseason
Look.
draft. I should have put up applause cue ready, but Matt, you are our winner. You had Savannah on your team. You also had Sage, so you had two of the final three, which is very impressive.
Hey, I had a feeling deep down, Uh, I don't know if I'll win another draft in my life again, but that was it. It feels good. It feels fine. I feel like I need to win a few in a row to really feel it. But it,
Mm.
it was fun to do. And again, we were all in it to the finale. So,
We were. So, yeah, so you had Savannah and Sage, as I said. I had
mm-hmm,
Rizzo and Christina. And
mm-hmm,
so I had no finalists,
mm.
unfortunately. But Molly had Soph. So, yeah, we were all still very much in it going into the finale, which made the season more exciting. It's nice to have people to root for with a rooting interest from the very start. And I think we all did pretty well.
Yeah, we did. We did. But honestly, I'm ready for the 50 draft. I feel like the 50 draft will really that's where it really counts. That's
It's
where it really
coming up
counts.
sooner than you think. I mean, we're only 2 months away, so yeah, stay tuned for that.
I'm
But
ready for it.
now let's get into this finale here. So we start with the final five receiving a note saying that there is an opportunity to win an advantage at the next immunity challenge. They have to put together a puzzle that will show them the location of the hidden advantage, which Soph ends up finding. They all have kind of trouble finding it at first, and then Soph finally has the idea to look up instead of down, and she finds it in a tree, and she wins the advantage.
I was a little bit annoyed. I love Soph. I love Soph so much. Let me just first say that. And I also say I had the chance of meeting her brother at
Oh,
RHAP. Love her
iconic.
brother. He's an icon. But no, I was only annoyed because first we get Sage's confessional where Sage is like, everyone's looking down, but I'm gonna look up. And then Soph comes and it's like, hey, I had this bright idea to look
Yeah.
up and I found it and she found it and it was amazing. And I'm so glad that she did, obviously. But it was sort of funny because I felt a little bit like, come on, what about Sage? She had the idea first, but Soph didn't. I guess Soph didn't fully know that. I mean, other than maybe seeing Sage looking up in trees, but Soph found the bamboo pole, which is what matters. So that was cool, and I guess it's good for like future Survivor seasons. Like, just you know, look down, search in the ground, but also just like look for random bamboo poles to. Or ropes, or
Yeah. Oh,
whatever there
yeah.
might be lying around that might be able to get something from a tree.
Yeah, like I wonder what made them all think originally that it was going to be on the ground, that they had to dig for it, because I feel like a lot of times immunity idols and things are hidden in trees and not necessarily on the ground. So it was interesting to me that like all of their first instinct was to keep digging. Like I wonder what it was. I didn't pay too close attention to like what the actual map was showing, but I wonder if it was something about it that made them think that, or whether it was just instinct that like, oh, maybe all the idols this season have been on the ground. I haven't been paying that close attention to it, I guess, but I don't know.
I think it was just subliminal because all the time Jeff's out there like, dig, dig
Yeah,
deep. And so they figured they had to dig deep, you
yeah,
know? But I mean,
I
like
guess so.
apparently the map, according to Sage, I believe, something about it indicated that it wasn't going to be on the
Uh,
ground. But then again, like when you see Savannah and others digging, it did. I don't know. The ground kind of looked a little distinct. Like I remember
mm.
seeing Savannah go up and dig on this one part of ground that looked like I don't know if they were rocks or, but it was like white at one point. I'm like, well, that's weird. So why wouldn't you dig there? But yeah, I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, I guess it's one of those things where it's like one person starts doing it and then you see them do and you're like, "Oh, I guess this is what I need to be doing." Maybe
Totally.
they know something that I didn't see, and so you just kind of instinctually just kind of follow the crowd.
And they were tall trees too. So, you know, you're not planning on climbing the tree to get something from it. And who would have known that there'd be some sort of tool to get anything from the tree? So I
Yeah.
actually had no clue. I figured that Soph was gonna have to like shake the tree somehow to get it to
I
fall
thought she was
out.
gonna have to like climb it or something. I was like, "Oh, this is might be a little dangerous," but
Just a little, yeah,
yeah,
right next to running on wet rocks. But you know,
yeah,
that's the season. Dangerous
yeah.
fun.
Yep, that's Survivor these days.
Hmm.
Well, at the immunity challenge, then, Savannah ends up winning, even with Soph's advantage. Savannah still takes out the win here, and in doing so, ties the female record of 4 immunity wins. And I mean, it's crazy to me that it's so few women have had 4 immunity wins. I wonder what is the record for men? Do we know? Is it
That's
like
what I
five or
want to
six?
know. I was just gonna ask you if you know,
I
because
don't. I don't. I'm not even sure. Gosh, this is bad. But I'm not even sure
I'll
who
d-
holds the record for
I'll
men.
do
Is
my
it
research. I'll do my research because
like
I would love to know that. But I do think I don't know. It's interesting because that to me, Savannah's record was one of the surprises about this season. Like I mean, who knew that she'd be such a challenge beast? But also when you think about her legacy, like hey, that's one of the many ways to cement it. Though I feel like honestly, like her immunity run and tying the record is like for me not even at the top of the list of reasons that she, you know, is maybe on the path to being a Survivor legend. You know, I love that.
100%? Yeah, to me, like it's very impressive. Do not get me wrong. I think it's incredibly impressive to win 4 immunities and everything that she's done with that. But I am not somebody like if I'm on the jury, I don't care about challenge wins. Like that is one of the last things that I would take into consideration when I vote for a winner. So, as impressive as it is, it really probably wouldn't have much effect on who I would vote for.
No, it definitely wouldn't for me, just because like it, all of these challenges, like every challenge, or I should say, when everyone's cast and in the show, like obviously there's some people who are better at the challenges than others, and I'm not gonna be out there winning the challenges, so I'm not gonna look at winning challenges as being something that qualifies you to be amazing. And I did think I found the record for the men,
Oh, okay, I'm
which
looking it up too. Yeah.
yeah, it looks like, and I see this post from it's well, one of many places I'm sure that has this information. But 5 wins apparently
Okay.
from are there 5 different men that are tied for this or 6? It's
Oh, wow.
Ozzy in season 13, Terry Dietz in
Malcolm.
season 12, Colby in season 2, Tom
Oh.
Westman in season 10, Mike Holloway in season 30, and then Brad Culpepper in season 34. I don't know where Malcolm is on
Mm.
that list. I don't know where he's on this list, if he's one
I
5.
feel like I probably could have guessed about half of those, and then half I don't think I would have thought of.
Yeah, I'm at. I'm actually surprised that there aren't even more people on that list, but
Yeah,
5 allegedly is the record per
that
season,
sounds
of
right.
course.
That sounds reasonable to me. So yeah,
I'll go
I
with it.
believe that. But after winning the immunity, Savannah also won a reward with that challenge, and she decided to take Sage with her on that reward. So, what did you think of that decision for her taking Sage?
It's I mean, great. Why not? Take Sage, you're good with Soph, you're good with Rizzo. Bring Sage along. You maybe bring her in a little bit in case she's on the jury. Maybe that gets you
Hmm.
a vote, especially from her. Sage being a bit more of seemingly an emotional player with some of her decision making, so maybe that'd carry over to the jury. So I have no problem with that, especially in a world where Savannah really wanted Christina out. Like I think it makes sense.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I was worried about with it was that she was then putting Christina on a beach with Rizzo and really and Soph
Hmm.
and really risking the fact that she could convince them to vote her way. So that was the only thing, but I don't think she anticipated
No.
how hard Rizzo was going to be wanting to keep Christina.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that the other piece though is that you have like Soph and Rizzo there. And so I mean, if you trust both of
Hmm.
them, there's that. But then also there's a little bit of babysitting because is Soph gonna turn against Savannah's decision making and then Rizzo's there and could use that against Soph or vice versa? I mean, I don't know if there was a bad move there or a good move there, but I don't think that choosing Sage was a bad move either way. But yeah, I mean anything could have happened. That's the point. Like I loved that conversation where they're not talking about getting out Christina, they're talking about getting out Sage, and I totally understand it. And that's a whole other question of like if it was right to vote out Christina there. But like, I did feel like it was a good that was another good moment where it wasn't just spoon fed to us that Christina was going to be voted out there.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this is really the first time in the game that we've seen Rizzo and Savannah having a difference of opinion on who should go home for the most part
Shockingly.
throughout the whole season. Yeah, they've been in lockstep, and Savannah is worried about Christina's fire making abilities, and that's seemingly one of the big reasons why she wants her out. And Rizzo thinks the Sage is a bigger threat in Final Three. So, which line of thinking did you find yourself leaning towards more?
Oh, that's a great question. I mean, I so not thinking about it as a player, but thinking about it as
Hmm.
me, I just really wanted Christina to somehow make it to the final three because
Hmm.
it would have been very interesting to see how people approach her in the final three. If she'd get votes in the final three, if her social game, in particular, would get her further. I mean, I don't think she's had particularly bad relationships or cold relationships, maybe compared to Savannah. So that would be really fascinating to me to see Christine at the end. And I just loved the clips they were showing of her. I didn't realize that Christina was so great at fire, but she apparently could strike up a fire in like 2 seconds according to what we were shown. Maybe it
Yeah.
took a little longer, but it was so impressive. And I just loved that because there's so much that we got from Christina this season where, you could imagine like if it were 20 seasons ago, like the Dodo music playing and then making fun of her. And we did get a little bit of that, but like she's such a heart player and I relate to that with her. She's showing up like with her story and honoring her mom and all these other amazing things as a mom too. And I don't know. I just want to see her succeed. So that was me. And then with Sage, like I also love Sage, but something about Christina in that moment just felt like the underdog making it to the end because
Hmm.
if you would have if Christina would have made it to the end and won, like I would have had my jaw on the floor in the best way possible.
Yeah, oh my God. I mean, going back to the challenge for a second, those falls that Christina had, those were scary.
It, they
That was
were
wild.
they were And I had like I don't know if I laughed in the moment when she fell off that I call it like the massive slide and landed like the worst fall, and her scream was like almost comical, but you're like, "Oh my gosh, did she like tear something, break something, snap something?" Like it's almost shocking that she didn't. And I love that she just kept getting up like, "I'm okay. I'm okay." It's like, Christina, you are limping, your legs falling off, like you have only one arm left. She felt the barrel that she fell off of and like probably hit her head on the barrel on the way down. Like that I'll tell you this, that made me feel better that if I were ever on Survivor, that, like I could survive, I'm not going to die if I fall, because I would fall so much worse than that. So
Oh my
I
God.
appreciate her, and it was like a little bit of comic relief, but also just like I mean, I remember earlier in the season, Christina going up to some sort of puzzle or something they completed after they won, and she did the Michelle Fitzgerald and went to kick it and like fell gloriously. And I feel like that's a lot of Christina's story this season. So
I
yeah.
know. I was like, are we gonna have a medevac at Final Five? There was like a small part of me that in that like those last couple of falls, I was like, ugh, this is not good. But no, it was like
Yeah,
cartoon like. She just like, just had the worst fall and then just got up. Like nothing happened.
I
It
know, I
was
know, I know. I feel like she's a great player that like I would love to see Christina back. She's different. I think she can be frustrating in some ways as a just like a great person. As a great person playing this game, and as someone who's not as like physically gifted. And of course there are times when people watch and they're like, that's frustrating, but such a distinct character. And
Mhm.
I just don't want her, I just want to see her like not fall for once. That would be nice. That's
Yes,
rough. That
yes,
was really
yes.
rough. I hope she's
Yeah.
okay wherever she is.
Yeah, no, she seems to be fine, and she was a very, very fun person to watch. I think just like because she seems like you said, such a just genuinely good person,
Hmm.
and I think sometimes, like you said, like those players can be a bit frustrating because they might not make the strategic move that you want them to make at all times. But I think that what makes someone like Christina so interesting to watch is that she is only who can only be who she is. And
Exactly.
that I think that's what makes Survivor and strategic reality television so interesting, is that you get all these people from these different walks of life who have different moral compasses and different personalities, and you put them all together and you're going to get people who butt heads like her and Savannah.
Yeah,
And it's that's why it people who are able to win this game and manipulate all these different types of people and find ways to know how to work certain people to get them to do what you want them to do. That's why it's so impressive.
exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah.
But look, she survived it. She survived the challenge. I think for me, Soph was this where Soph won? No, this is not where Soph won.
No,
Soph won after that.
next.
This is where Savannah won. But like even then, it was just fascinating because like Christina kept fighting. I think the fact that anyone kept competing and fighting, like it, in a world where Savannah is this challenge beast, is impressive. I don't know. You try hard because you want to make Jeff proud, and you're on TV, and you're also a competitor, and you want to win. And it's really frustrating when the same person wins every time if you're a player out there. But
Mhm.
that's where I really appreciate Christina, but all of them like giving it their all the whole time.
Absolutely. Well, then we get to tribal council, and Sage and Christina get into a little bit of an argument. They have the bit of a moment when Christina brings up Sage's moment where everyone was hugging her after losing that endurance challenge to Savannah, and Sage feels like that was an out of game moment where it was beyond the scope of any. There was no strategy involved in that moment, and I thought that was an interesting little short lived tiff that they had at Tribal there that I didn't exactly see coming.
What do you think about Sage bringing that up? Like I'm not, I don't know if, well, one, I don't think it definitely was not strategic that Sage brought that up. Like, I don't think that was a strategy thing, or maybe it was, but I'm curious what you think about her bringing that up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that that was a strategic moment either. I think that that was. I think we see it with Sage off. I mean, we see it at the reunion that
Mm,
she's emotional there. Like, I think that's just who Sage is. That when she feels like she is disappointing people or upsetting people or not able
yeah.
to live up to her potential of what she wants to do, then I think that she just gets emotional, and whether there's people around or not, whether it's a right okay time to get, like, she's just gonna put it all out there, and that's why we love Sage. So I don't think that that was a strategic moment, but I also don't think that Christina did that in any sort of malicious way
No.
to use a moment that she knows was not strategic to make it look a certain way. Like, I think
Hmm.
that there was no ill intent on her part either.
Yeah. It is interesting though, like seeing Christina and Sage going at each other. And I do feel like we saw a lot of that this season, at least in the post merge, of the people who were at, I won't say at the bottom necessarily, because I think that's very up to interpretation in this season. But the people who were on the chopping block, at least as far as we saw it, were oftentimes like going at each other when maybe they should have been focusing on like the bigger threats or bigger targets. But it's also so hard to judge and critique like how people play or what they do and what they say, because we only get we don't have live feeds. We only get so much
I
with.
wish we did.
I do too.
Wouldn't
I
that be
think it'd be a
fun?
very different show that we're watching.
And we probably would hate 80% of the
Oh,
people that we
totally.
love.
Totally. Yeah.
So
Not great.
maybe be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, yeah.
But Christina is voted out here. Rizzo and Soph end up going with Savannah's plan. After all of that, they decide to fold and go with sending Christina home. So do you think that that was a mistake for either of them?
Ooh, well, great move for Savannah, at least. Uh, I don't think that was a mistake for either. Well, it depends how you think about it. Like if you're Soph, and if Soph is going to win that next immunity anyway, like sure, keeping Christina around would be great. Then you throw in Christina against Savannah, and then Christina, in theory, takes out Savannah, and then the final three does not have the person who won the game. So yeah, I mean, I would say that I want to call it a mistake for Soph, but that's with hindsight being 2020. Like I get the decision to get rid of Christina, because that could have been any of them in fire making against someone who's better at it. And for that reason, I think getting rid of Christina is probably a good call there.
Yeah, I think it's hard to know because it's almost impossible to know who ends up winning that next
Exactly.
immunity when you put in a different player, and it's like, okay, who, it's a mistake for whoever I guess would have gone into fire against Christina. Like it's so hard to know that, so
Yeah.
I feel like it's hard to know who it's a mistake for.
Well, it's interesting though, because it we all could have easily assumed that Savannah would win. That would be what, like, probably the best pick if you chose odds going into that last immunity challenge, just based on her track record. And Savannah was the one who was pushing against Christina the most, uh, which is fascinating. It's almost interesting, and I give Savannah more credit that she wasn't thinking to herself, oh, I'm gonna win this next immunity, so I don't need to worry about Christina and fire. But I do. To me, it seems like, if I'm reading it correctly, Savannah saw Christina as a threat to win fire, assuming that Christina would be in fire, because no one thought, I don't think anyone thought Christina was going to win immunity, that final immunity. And it seemed like Savannah genuinely wanted a final three of Savannah, Rizzo, and Soph. And I think she would have done everything to get to that point. So it made sense from that standpoint to get rid of her. And then because again, you might assume that Savannah's going to win that final immunity. Like, yeah, if you're Rizzo or if you're Soph, take out Christina because she could beat you in fire. So I do think that was probably the best decision there.
Yeah, I think when you think about it that way from their perspective, assuming that Savannah is most likely to win immunity, and then that would force one of them to have to go against Christina. Yeah, I can understand them being a little bit afraid of that and
Yeah.
thinking that they have a better chance doing against Sage than Christina. So it gives them a better chance of the three of them all making it to the end together, which at the very least they're all telling each other is the goal. Whether it actually was for all of them or not, we will find out in just a second
Right.
that it may not be.
Hmm.
But knowing that the three of them are telling each other that that is all three of their goals, then that makes a lot of sense.
Totally. Yeah.
Well, now we get to the final immunity challenge, and Soph has an incredible come from behind victory out of nowhere,
Ugh.
seemingly. That was wild.
It's so great. Isn't this like this is the best part about the challenges on Survivor? Because I know for me, I could zone out a little bit, or I'm just like, okay, let me know when it's over and who wins. But like she like on that table maze, I don't know if I've ever seen anyone do a table maze like that. Like
No.
so unafraid, just aggressively, flawlessly, apparently. That was
Like, does
shocking.
she have that at home?
I mean, she must. She probably, yeah, she probably just has table mazes lying around and does them all the time. No,
Oh
I mean,
my
but you know
God.
what? Maybe my thought, and this is maybe just like a guess, but if you are that behind, and also if you're Soph, you're not expecting to win. She hadn't won otherwise. In fact, like she was on the Blue Tribe, which famously did not win.
Ever, yeah.
So it's you know if I'm her, maybe it's a little bit of like I thought I was already out of this challenge. I haven't won. What do I have to lose? I'm just gonna go for it. Or you know, there's a
Yeah.
reason I'm still in it, and I'm gonna go for it. So I love that, and I love the like the I'll say like aggressiveness that she was playing that challenge with once she realized she was still in it. If she gave up, we wouldn't have seen that win. We would have seen a very different scenario. So that was amazing to me. That was I wish we had like a ranking of like top challenge come from behind victories ever cuz that
That feels like a Peridium video waiting to happen,
oh,
right?
yeah, who knows? It might be on his YouTube right now. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
But no, yeah, that was crazy. I wonder if Soph almost after the not this past tribal, but I guess the one before
Mhm.
that, where she tried to play her knowledge of power, failed. I feel like she probably had almost resigned herself for at least a few minutes there to thinking that she was going home that night. And so when she didn't, I wonder if it was just like a change of mindset after that, where it's like, I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to play more aggressively and play the challenges more aggressively because like what do I have to lose? Like
Yeah.
I almost thought I already thought I was out. I've already kind of resigned to that mindset, so it's a little less scary, that feeling, once you feel that way and then realize that you're still in it. It's like, this is my second life, I'm just going to go for it, so it
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, yeah, no, I believe it. I mean, I've heard I don't know if I've heard Jeff say this or if I've heard people say that Jeff has said like play like it's your second time and like
Yeah.
that's kind of what it felt like where it's like what do I have to lose? So good on Sophie. And I you know, she had I feel like she had so much love from the fandom throughout the season. Or she was just like a fun player to watch. She was really great at the game. So this felt really nice because to me it's just this reminder of like she's still in it. It's not over. She could still win this season. And I do really believe that there are multiple scenarios where she could have, especially looking at this final five, where she still could have won the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of us, after the knowledge is power was went the way that it did, a lot of us said, well, there goes Soph's chance of winning this game because her one shot was using it on Rizzo's idol and betraying Rizzo and Savannah. And I think that a lot of people felt like that was her one shot to make a game winning move. But we're now in a position with her winning this immunity where she has another chance to make a pretty good big move here. And so now she has to decide who she's going to bring with her to Final Three and who to put in fire making.
Yeah.
Now, Rizzo tells her that if she's going to put him in fire, to put him against Savannah, which that was a very surprising, to me at least, to hear Rizzo say that.
Is loyalty dead? What are we doing? Oh my gosh. But it makes sense. Like, I like that. I love that Rizzo's head was still in the game, especially after season 48, where I will say I did really, in 48, just comparing that with 49, I appreciate loyalty. I appreciate people sticking together. I appreciate the heartfelt moments. But it's good to see that people want to win the $1 million. Like, I would love to be loyal to someone in the game, and I would also love to win $1 million. And I think Rizzo saw that if he's and I think rightfully so, like if he's sitting next to Savannah in the end, they might be splitting votes because they were playing so closely together. And then let's say that they're both there with Soph, for example. Does Soph win because they split votes? What happens there? I don't know, but I think that was a good call by Rizzo. Like, really optimal gameplay. And I do think, of course, like Soph's choice was also a great Sophie's choice. Sophie's choice was also a great choice to make. But this was, again, another thrilling moment. Also fun when you realize that Savannah doesn't know how to make fire, apparently.
That is the most wild thing to me about this little segment that we had here, is knowing that so many of them don't know how to make fire or don't feel super comfortable with it, at least. And it's like, how do you go out on this show and not practice that night after night after night? You would think that, like, I would just leading up to it, even if I just had like a couple weeks notice, I would just be doing it as much as I could.
Look, could you make fire, Michael?
No, but I haven't tried to go on Survivor.
I have a feeling that if I were on Survivor, I would practice. Cause look, there are even some LRGs that have people doing fire making challenges. Like, I'm sure I know some people. Heck, I'll go find like Wendell or whoever's made fire before. I don't know. I need to get trained on how to make the fire. But
yeah, you have connections.
Yeah, I have some connections who could help train me on fire. But like, the thing is, I could also see a world where you just get like so wrapped up in like your life, but also all of the other prep where you're getting ready to starve and a million other things. I have thought to myself, like, I don't need to learn to make fire. What are the odds that I make it to the end? And then the odds that someone puts me into fire making, like what? And then,
but there's also benefit to it, knowing how to do that for your tribe, even in the pre-merge, where it's like, I know that people don't care that much about that stuff anymore, exactly. But I do think that, like, first impressions, I do think that it's helpful. It's something that you can do in like that day one where you're getting to know people. It's the one thing where you can be like, this can be my contribution to the tribe.
But here's the other thing about it. Whether or not you're actually good at making fire, do you end up in a situation like Christina, where you are too good at making fire and then you get taken out before fire making because you're too good?
That's true.
I think the ideal is you learn to make fire. Maybe you practice secretly. You contribute in other ways that don't involve making fire, and then you get put into fire making and you're amazing at it and win.
Yeah.
And then win the season. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'll just point out that it was interesting, and I know we'll get into this a bit, but it was interesting to me that Jeff was talking about fire making and some of the history of it, and gave like 2 examples where the people put into fire making went on to win, which, I mean, there are so many other examples where I don't know what they are,
And
but
Chris Underwood was in a very unique
yeah, I was
situation
gonna
there, by the
say.
way, that he neglected to explain.
Yeah, I don't think that those, like, I need more than two examples because I feel like if I were to look at the data, the person who wins fire making probably doesn't win the game. I don't know how that works, but
Well,
I
I
need
was
more
just
data.
surprised he didn't use Kenzie as an example because that was like I feel like the most famous recent example of somebody who fire making really apparently made a huge impact for.
I don't like that he didn't reference that. That's a good call. Uh-oh. Sorry, Kenzie.
But it just makes feel like it makes more sense than Chris's example
A little more
because
recent.
yeah, well, it's more recent and it's like Kenzie was in the game the whole time.
She needed it. Yeah, and she
Yeah.
was in the game the whole time. But I think she really needed that too. Wow, yeah, I don't
Mhm.
know. But anyway, Jeff is huge on the history and of course love like a Chrissy Hofbeck shout out.
Of course. Yeah, that, was interesting where I was like, I wonder if he kind of knows at this point in time that Chrissy is likely to be on
Oh,
50, and so he
100%.
wants to remember why she's going to be on 50 because she's one of the weirdly to say, she's one of the most further back
I mean, and
people on that
it's
season.
funny because even the players and we don't really know how much Jeff references or doesn't reference Survivor history out there, but we saw a lot of it this season, so
Yeah.
that was nice.
Yes, it was. Well, Soph does end up bringing Sage to final three with her, putting Rizzo and Savannah against each other in fire. Savannah wins, making Rizzo the final member of the jury. I was really hoping that we would have a Becky and Sundra
Yep.
moment for a little bit there. It was taking them a bit of time. I was like, ooh, I hope that we get a good callback to our queens, but no, they both did pretty well.
I actually want to ask you about this because to that point, and I would love if anyone could break this down, but with fire making, obviously, it's not just about winning fire making. Like it's about doing it in a way that's also impressive. Like if you're there
Mm.
for a while, again, doing the Becky and Sunder without the matches, of course. But if you're just there trying for a long time and the jury is getting bored or they're seeing you struggle, I wonder if that lowers the value of winning fire making at the end.
I do.
I would
Because I
imagine.
think that who was I just watching on RHAP like a week ago? It was very recent. Oh, it was Shaheen.
Hmm.
And I believe he was saying that who was in fire making last season? I am having why am I
Well,
struggling
we
to
know
remember
that
who?
Eva and Joe and Kyle were at the end. So
Yeah.
was it Camille? Was it
It was Camilla, but
Camilla
who was Camilla against is what I'm trying to remember because I don't think it was Camilla he was talking about
and
because it was
Eva?
someone.
Am I
Was it Eva? Okay. Yeah, I think it was Eva because
that
he
feels
what he
right.
was saying was Eva or whoever was in fire making was like it was disqualifying for him because they had such trouble with it and he was like it's the one thing you should know when
Yeah,
you're out on
it
Survivor
was
that you
Eva.
need to be able to do fire and the fact that it took her so long to do that was disqualifying to him. So I do think to your point that that does make an impact even whoever wins it if they do so in a way that is they feel like is embarrassing
Yeah.
that could just be disqualifying for certain jury members.
That's rough. Yeah, Eva really was struggling with it. Actually, I think one of the more memorable fire making moments because she was like struggling and managed to come around and ultimately do it. So it was this big underdog moment. But yeah, imagine being there in real time and it's taking 30 minutes, an hour, who knows how long it's taking, but yeah, I'm gonna be less impressed. It's like, don't bore me, entertain me. Maybe like do a
Yeah.
tap dance while you're doing the fire, or like tell
Yeah.
some jokes, and then it'll be a little
Yeah.
better.
Like do a good Christian moment, ask Jeff some questions, keep us entertained,
Yeah, keep us
you
entertained. It can't
yeah.
hurt. Ask people to remind
Yeah.
you of their family members' names.
Oh God. Well, okay. Now that you mentioned that, it's a good transition because next we do get our final three jury segment. And what were some of your, I guess we can start with Christina's question. I
Well,
think that's the
but
big,
I mean, before we get there, I'll just mention, have they been doing it was kind of like a version of the rites of passage, but they weren't like walking
yeah.
around. Have they been doing that every season?
Um, I think like to a certain extent, but this felt more
Yeah.
definitely more structured in terms of like you're talking about one person at a time.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that that's something that I remember them doing. We've been having this segment where it's like the jury speaks and
Mm-hmm.
we get that big like group photo or like
Yeah.
montage of the
Slow-mo.
jury posing and yeah, exactly. So we've been getting that, but I don't feel like I remember it also them weaving that in with the final three talking about the jury members
Yeah,
also.
that's
Like
the
I feel like
part.
this was like both sides of it, whereas I think before it was just the jury talking about
I
the
thought that
final
was a great setup for the jury, and it kind of like it got us ready to understand where different people's mindsets were, just reminded us of some of the key relationships. But you mentioned it, the final three's happening. I don't know what happened before it. I don't know what happened after it, but I do know Christina's question is going to live rent free in my head, and Savannah's answer will live rent free in my head this like for a while because that didn't you feel? Did you just feel that viscerally?
Oh God. Yeah, at the watch party I was at, everyone just like gasped at that question. There was a visceral reaction to
Hmm.
it. But what do you think about the way that Savannah handled that? And what is the best way to handle that question if you know inside that you don't know the answer to that?
Okay, so when I first heard the question, I thought, no, 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 Christina, like, we're not doing that. This game is not about me remembering your family members. It's not about me remembering everyone's names. It's about me playing the best game. Like, I think I would have gone just instinctually and probably being really hungry. I might have gone maybe in the wrong direction of being kind of defensive about it if I could not name people's name. It cannot name their family members, which I'd hope I can name people, at least one family member or partner of each person by that point, 26 days in. But yeah, I mean, I actually think Savannah handled it so well. It was hard to watch, but she tried and she indicated what she knew about the people. I do wish we would have gotten her talking about Rizzo because Rizzo was like last in the line. She probably went through like his whole family tree, and
Sure.
everyone's names and middle names and who's married to who and all that stuff. But I thought she did a good job. Like it wasn't as poorly received as I thought it would be from what I could tell with the reactions. And it's a hard question because you're not thinking about that many days in. I mean, uh, Savannah even references that she's like, Christina, I remember I was saying to you in that one challenge, like, do it for your kid's name, but I can't remember. Like, it's just a high pressure situation to be in, and I want to fault her and be upset and judge her, but I also can't relate to being like that hungry, that tired, that exhausted, that stressed, $1 million on the line. That's the last thing you're thinking about is everyone's family members' names until you watch this season, and then you're thinking about everyone's family's names because you have to remember them just in case so you don't lose Survivor.
Exactly. It'll be like studying days on Big Brother. Like it's just something that you think about while you're trying to fall asleep
I
at
don't know
night.
how people remember days on Big Brother, but
Yeah.
that's just me.
Yeah. I feel like so besides the way that Savannah handled it, which I agree, I think was as good as you could do with genuinely trying to answer her
Hmm.
question and not knowing the information for most of them. But I think that there are two other ways that I feel like she could have
Oh, I
handled
love
it.
this.
The first is that she could just go full Katie Gallagher with Janu's question on Palau and just say, "I'm not answering that question. I know you're not getting I'm not getting your jury vote, so sorry." And then you just kind of hope that everyone else will think that, "Oh, she would have known mine." Like
Right.
it's then there's no proof that she doesn't know the answer for their family, and then it doesn't feel as personal to them. The second way is I think that she could have kind of gone in like a Genevieve direction,
Mm.
where she says, I know that I didn't have a close enough personal
Right.
connection with all of you to know your family's information. But that was intentional on my part because I wanted to I knew that if I got to know you all on a deep personal level, then I might not be willing to blindside you and make the best strategic moves that I want to make in this game. And I wanted to be able to kind of view you all as more players than real people. And I hope to get to know all of you so much better outside of this game. And I'm sorry that I can't answer this question for most of you,
Yeah.
but it was intentional on my part for a game reason that I didn't ask you these questions. So, I feel like maybe then people would at least be able to respect it, even knowing that she doesn't know that information about them.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely an option. That is definitely an option. I do think that like not trying to BS people is important.
Mhm.
And so like whatever it is for Savannah that's the truth there that feels the most true is good. Like I did appreciate that she could remember things about people, remember the conversations. And again, like a different jury might have not awarded her the win after that. So it's interesting. But I again, Savannah I think is a probably better than most of us because either we remember it and then we're solid and we wouldn't be asked the question if for the fact that we remember it. It's interesting to me that Christina asked the question because I think she was sort of setting up Savannah to fail in that situation, which
Oh, yeah, for
obviously
sure.
she
Yeah.
knew that wasn't the connection that Savannah had with folks. She wasn't trying to give Savannah a softball, so there's that. So one, to be asked the question itself isn't great, but I think to Savannah attempted to like actually answer it, which I think there's a lot of merit to it. I do think the first approach that you mentioned of saying like I'm not answering that question, I wonder if people would sort of look at her as like not playing ball or
Yeah.
like I think you kind of need to answer it in some kind of way, but I like what you suggested like the Genevieve of like I tried to keep distance between me and you so that I could play this cutthroat game that I had to play. Um, but I just think I'd be like, hey, look, I played this game hard. I worked my ass off. I won all these immunities. Please don't judge me for not remembering your family members' names. Like we're not voting for and we're not going to vote for the winner of Survivor 49 this epic season based on who's remembering whose names. Though I did see Soph mouthing people's names, so it sounds like she remembered.
That was very smart.
Yeah.
I thought that was brilliant because then she doesn't even ask the question,
No.
but she's showing that she could
Like
have
a
answered
drag
it.
race lip sync. She was almost like pointing to her mouth, like enunciating so much. So
That was very, very smart and savvy for
I
her
agree.
on
I
her
agree.
part.
I like that.
I think
Maybe
that was great.
do you think that like in the final tribal with every question, just like assume that people could read lips and just mouth your answer to every single question?
Yeah, they're like, okay, let's speed this up and get to the pizza party. All three of you answer all questions at the same
Yeah.
time, and
Yeah.
just like,
Oh my gosh.
just one of you say it out loud, the other two mouth it, and
Yeah.
we'll watch whoever's answer we're most curious
Hey, I
about.
love it. Oof.
Yeah. Were there any other questions or answers that kind of stuck out to you from this part?
I was gonna. I mean, that definitely jumped out. I think there. I mean, there were some other smaller moments, but like that was the big one by
Yeah.
far. I don't really. I don't think there's anything that really jumped out in a huge way. I mean, I did. I actually will say that I found myself a little annoyed at the beginning of the final tribal because it felt like, and again, I'm all for people's stories. That's my favorite part of the new era that like we hear these deeper parts of people and just in general, like that's what I love to learn about people is like their deeper stories. But it felt like at the start of that final tribal, we were getting like, hey, like I've been through this difficult thing, or I've been through this difficult thing, or like I'm doing it for my grandma, or I'm doing it for this person. Oh, I'm a former secret agent, like the modern day Philip Shepard. Like I'm this
Yeah.
person. Like we were getting a lot of that, and it's I love those things when they're genuine, but it did feel like a little bit of like trying to one up each other. So I
Hmm.
that was just a little bit like not to overuse the word cringe, but it felt a little cringe to me at the beginning because I'm like, you don't need to do this. Like you don't need to like put your stories out there so much as a reason for winning because that's not why people are going to vote for you in this cast. Like I don't think that's what they care about. They care about who the best player
Right.
is.
Well, and I mean, none of them could hold a candle to the Seuss Mays reveal on Survivor 47, saying that she's secretly 58 years old. I mean, who can top that reveal? So,
Nobody.
why even try?
Nobody. Nobody. Top reveal of the new era, of course.
For
But
sure, for sure. Well, we do then get to our jury vote and we crown the winner of Survivor 49, which was a closer vote than I think, at least I expected going into this finale. So it was a 5-2 to 1 vote. They all got votes, and Savannah takes it out with 5 votes to win. Christina and MC voted for Soph. Sage voted for Jawan. Everyone else voted for Savannah. What did you think when the votes were
yeah, no,
revealed
it was
here?
nice that we didn't have any zero vote finalists. I always appreciate that. Uh, I it felt good. It felt really good. Like, I Savannah really played so hard, but also from our perspective, I mean, I think it was very clear why she's the winner. Like
Yeah.
not everyone's going to love her. I think it's fine. I think she understands that and accepts that. Um, but that's not what it's about. Like it's about winning the game. And I just like that Savannah had this killer instinct that then people really honored along the way. But then it is always nice to see, like you mentioned, Jawan voting for Sage, like to see that, for instance, and they had a close bonding connection. Like that makes sense to me. Um, and so I appreciated that like really great gameplay was honored and Savannah had a very decisive win while also, you know, there's still some love shown to the other players, which is nice. Though, of course, it's not ever easy to lose Survivor, especially coming in like third place, whether that's with 1 vote or 0 votes or whatever the case might be. So I liked it. I liked how that broke down.
Yeah, and I just realized that I never mentioned that this was the first all-female final three since San Juan del
20
Sur, and 10
seasons,
years
20
ago.
seasons, 11 years. So it's like
Yeah,
to the date, Natalie
yeah,
Anderson.
yes. Natalie posted that. Yeah, that's wild. But yeah, that I agree with you. I think that it was nice to see that everybody got a vote. I think that that does make it just a little bit easier, probably at the after show when they're celebrating and everything. I think to be sitting there as a 0 vote finalist probably is not easy for anyone. So I'm glad at least everyone felt a little bit of love there, a little bit of recognition of their game. And I think that Savannah absolutely deserved this win. I think that the edit just kind of made it so that any other winner, I think,
Hmm.
going into tonight would have felt just a little bit undeserved, not undeserved of
It
their
would have,
game, but
yeah,
undeserved in terms of the story that we were told.
right.
So,
The edit being the key,
yeah.
because it's interesting. Like I mean, I get the sense that Sage felt like she had a better chance because of what she assumed her win conditions were. And we mentioned Chrissy Hofbeck earlier, but one book that I love, the book that Chrissy Hofbeck put out is Winning Conditions, which is
Mhm.
really all about how do you make sure that you are speaking to what like the decision makers that are in front of you care about. She talks about the jury on her season of Survivor, talks about Survivor juries, and I just felt like Sage did not have a great grasp of what the jury wanted or needed to vote for her to win. Like it's not a popularity contest, or it's not like we like you or we don't like you, in which case maybe Sage would have won, next to Soph and Savannah, who obviously, it is actually really interesting if you're Sage, if you look at it, because you kind of had Soph and Savannah and Rizzo in this corner, and then Sage and everyone else. And if people were voting just based on who they were maybe working with a bit more, Sage could have won.
Yeah, for sure. No, that's definitely, I think, what she was banking on to a
Yeah,
certain degree.
totally.
And I think that you're right, that I think that she really felt like she had a very good chance of winning that
It
game.
seems like it.
And I think that's why, I mean, now we can just kind of get into the after show a little bit, that I think that's why she was emotional about it, because I think she felt like, what was I missing? Like,
Yeah.
what was I not understanding about how the jury felt, or the way my game is perceived? And are people taking things personally that I thought they viewed as strategic? And the jury was like a little cold to her during the questioning. Like, it did feel like there was a bit of hurt feelings or bitterness towards
Mm-hmm.
Sage, or not, just not respecting her game. And I think that came as a total shock to her. And I can't even imagine how that must feel to then have go to a pizza party and champagne and everything, and people are laughing and celebrating, people on the jury who have slept and been able to get out of their dirty clothes. Like, but for her, it's like, oh my god, all this information is just like coming to her, and I really felt for
Well,
her.
it's also hard because then I mean, obviously, flash forward about 6 to 7 months, like you have the season airing, and the edit doesn't necessarily paint the picture that you could be the winner or that you might be the winner in the way that it did for Savannah, for instance. And so it's not even like you're validated by the fans who are watching, who think like, oh, Sage should have won. Like that's not, they
Right.
Savannah was a decisive winner, even if it even if things weren't as decisive in the actual game. One of the things I've seen Sage say, and she hasn't done her exit press yet, from what I understand, so I haven't seen
Oh,
interviews.
okay.
Everyone else did them.
I've not had a chance to watch any of the
Yeah.
exit press yet,
Everyone else
so
did them. I
I don't
believe
know.
Sage is scheduled to do hers on Friday instead of Thursday, like
Okay.
everyone else, for whatever reason. But one of the things I did see her post at one point was just that this idea of like the game is different than the show. And so there's clearly some thought that the edit did not represent things as fully as it should have. Sage will speak to that, I'm sure, in some way, shape, or form. And hopefully she's doing well now. But um, yeah, I feel for her. That's a rough spot to be in. And I will say, I have my one live reality game experience, Survivor Philadelphia, where I was playing this game. I'm like, oh, Matt, you're on the right side of the boat. You're doing everything so well. Like people really like you. They're threatened. They think they think you're gonna win. And then I got to the end, and you know how many votes I got? I got zero freaking votes in the end. But and then
Oh,
you're left
I
with
would have
that thought of
voted
like,
for you,
why
Matt.
me? Like, did I hurt? Like, who did I hurt? I didn't want to hurt people.
Right.
That's what I was
Exactly.
thinking about
Yeah.
with Sage, is like, it's not even necessarily the emotion of like losing. But also it's like I think there's this thought of like, did I hurt people? Did I,
Right.
it, it, I really felt Sage in that moment, though. Ugh, it is so painful to watch these like live, or these not live after shows, but like live reunions happening at the, what do they call it, the after show at this point.
After show,
So
yeah.
yeah, it's painful to watch the after shows happening immediately after the vote
Yeah.
happens. They need some decompressed time, like even give them a
I
day.
think right. Yeah, this is not a hot
No.
take by any means, but I do think that they need to give them 24 hours to just like to sleep, to talk to each other, to, just kind of get their head in the right place in
Hmm.
order to be able to actually reflect on their game and answer questions about it, and just like give the final three just a little time. And I get that that's exactly what Jeff wants, or these emotional
Yeah.
moments, these raw feelings. Like, that's why they do it right
But no
then,
one wants to see
besides all
that.
the
I
other
don't
stuff.
think anyone wants to
But
see
nobody
that.
wants it's only it pleases Jeff and nobody else.
Hey, that's it. If he's happy, great. But you know what? I'm just saying I would take a lot of pleasure in telling him how messed up it is. I'd be like the first one out, like the mayor of Ponderosa, on the jury, and I'd be like, Jeff, could we just cancel this? Like, could we wrap this up and just do this tomorrow?
Yeah,
Like, it's not. She's crying into her pizza. Like,
I
it's
know, I
ugh.
know.
No one
It's
should
it's
cry
hard
into
to watch,
pizza.
but yeah, no, no. Oh my God, especially pizza when you haven't eaten barely
Oh my
anything like all
gosh.
this time. Oh my God, eat it.
Seriously. Oof.
But it sounds like Survivor 50. Maybe we're gonna get the live reunion show back. So maybe if this goes well, then and they see Jeff is reminded how much fun it is and the advantages of doing that, then maybe we'll get something back for the 50s that are at least more similar to that, even if they don't have the budget to do exactly that every year.
I wonder, actually. I do wonder. Because obviously it's been filmed. I wonder. I wouldn't be shocked if they filmed the after show in Fiji just in case. And they're like, just kidding. We're gonna do the
Yeah.
live reunion and not actually show any of that. I wonder how they approach it. There's a lot I wonder about. I think there's a lot that all of us wonder about with 50, of course.
Yeah. Yes. And I wouldn't even look, even if they do like a small little after show in the moment, I'm okay with
Yeah,
that as long as it's we also get a live reunion. Like I think there
yeah.
are certain things that are nice about answering certain questions in the moment. Like just doing a quick 5-minute version of it where you ask the final three, like the winner, how are you feeling? You know, what is this like? How okay, you know, it just the very basics of what we want to be asked in the moment and get their raw reactions before watching everything back and then go to LA and do the live
There
reunion
is
after
there
that.
is part of me though that actually like I'm very curious. I don't want to see it, but I kind of at this point now want to see the after show with the people from 50 because it's so much more intense. Like, yes, you've done it before, you've played the game before. If you're Suri or Ozzy, you've played the game like 5 times or however you want to count that with different iterations of Survivor. But it's interesting.
Five and four and a
Four and a
half,
half.
as
No, no,
someone
no.
would say.
Wait,
Yeah.
no, we don't do half games here or half wins. But no, it's like it's interesting because the uh I just I would be interested to see how the returning players navigate the after show. Like, are they chill? Are they cool, calm, collected, or are they complete mess? Because they have all these deeply embedded relationships in the like. I don't know, but I also don't really want to see that. I don't want to find out.
I think if we're hoping for mess, I think we might be disappointed. I mean, look, who knows what's going to happen out there? There could be, really bad betrayals and everything. But I kind of feel like people that have played the game that much are able to turn that part off
I
a
would think
bit more
so.
than most
I
others.
would think so.
So I think
But I
that, yeah,
also wonder if
yeah.
if there might be a situation where, you know, depending on some of the bonds, and maybe this isn't the right combination of people for it, but like depending on some of the pre-existing bonds or relationships, maybe some of the choices that happen will just hurt a little bit harder or, cut a little bit deeper. But we'll see, I guess.
I mean, that's what I think you kind of hope for in an all-star
That's what it
season is
is.
that's what you want with those past relationships, past histories. That's why
Yeah.
the shows like The Challenge are so
Oh
good, is
yeah.
because you get that on a regular basis, and every so often you get a big betrayal, and that ends up turning into a whole mess. So we'll see what
We
happens,
will.
but we did get our first preview officially of Survivor 50 with some interesting guests that we alluded
Yeah.
to in the beginning of this. We get Zach Brown, which didn't know he was a Survivor fan. We get the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol, whatever that means. We get Jimmy Fallon mention and an appearance from Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast himself, who we already saw a crossover on the other way side of that with Jeff Probst cameo on Beast Game Season 2. now it seems like Mr. Beast is making a cameo on Survivor 50
You
as
know
well.
what? I'm okay with it. I'm happy about what we're gonna get because there's nothing like one getting the preview for a new season, but then getting the preview for 50 where we actually saw everyone and we're seeing what they look like nowadays when they're out there, and we saw them actually competing a little bit. Um, that felt really nice, and I'll say this, like, I get not being a Mr. Beast fan. I hate watch Mr. Beast too. Every single video at this point. I hate watched Beast games. It's all good. But um it is what it is. Like Survivor trying something new. Um it's not going to be we're not going to get Now it'll be very interesting actually with some of these idols and advantages because maybe we will get a lot of references to Mr. Beast or to Billie Eilish or to Zach Brown, who I don't even know if he has. Is that wait? Yeah, that's his name, Zach Brown. Zach Brown of the Zach Brown Band. I was
Black
like,
Brown
who's
Band.
that?
Yeah.
Sounds like a very generic name. So I'm like, who's that? Did I just make him
I
up?
know it
But
does. Yeah.
yeah, no, it'll be fun. It'll be interesting. It'll be quirky. I think we could laugh about it along the way. Like we don't need to take our Survivor too seriously. Um, and if
Mhm.
that means having a Billie Eilish boomerang idol once in a while, I guess like we'll just see how it goes. Look, it's a cute name.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as long as it doesn't distract too much from the game itself, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Like if it's just a quick they're there for a couple minutes and they announce whatever new thing is going to be in the game that they're doing, then they go away and we just kind of reference it as their name blank. Like I'm okay with that. Look, it's if that's what they feel like they need to do to get the younger viewers to make the
Sure.
show relevant again, fine. I'll take it if it means we get more seasons of Survivor.
Yeah, I mean, I think there'll be a lot of negativity toward 50 leading up to it because of some of these new changes. But no one like if anyone Survivor production is listening to us right now, don't listen to us. Well, listen to Let's Chat Reality, but don't listen to us because we're going to watch no matter what. Like that's the thing.
Right.
I'm going to be so happy that Survivor's on no matter what. I'm going to be happy anytime I get to any of the watch parties and get to enjoy the show with people and then listen to Rob joke about, like Jimmy Fallon or Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Donaldson or whatever other Jimmy they bring in. And you know what? There's so many
Right.
other people I'd rather see in All Stars, but I am hopeful that in the 50s we'll get more of that. Heck, like I'm just gonna put it out there. I would love to see a fans versus favorites with like fans who actually could beat some favorites. Like give me all sorts of combinations. Give us some theme seasons. Like there's so many great people though who we've had cast on the show in the new era and far before it. So let's see them. Bring them out.
Yeah. No, I mean that's what Rob was kind of talking about, I think a couple weeks ago somewhere, was that now's the time to do fans versus
Mm,
favorites again, because now in the new era we're actually casting
yeah.
fans. Whereas back when the original fans versus both original fan versus favorite seasons, were these people really fans? Like, a lot of them seem to just kind of be recruits that maybe had watched a couple seasons of
No.
the show before.
Yeah.
So, now I think if we're casting like we continue to cast like we have been in this past era of the show, then it could actually be a very interesting season.
I hope we do get fans versus favorites at some point. We'll see. But look, we have 50 here. We have a lot of favorites. We have some other people who have a chance to prove themselves as favorites. Survivor's production and all the cinematic shots too also like raise the bar a little bit so that even if we didn't love them that much, like now they're gonna look so much cooler in like HD or whatever, 4K. 8K. I don't know how they shoot these things anymore.
Well, Matt, this was very fun.
It was.
We will, I'm sure, talk much more 50 very soon here in just a couple months. But until then, I think that this closes the book on Survivor 49. And where can our listeners keep up with you? What do you have going on in the near future? Anything to plug?
Yeah, well, people could find me Matt Scott GW on the different platforms, but especially Blue Sky. I'm on Instagram. I don't post there, but I'm on Blue Sky. I like to post random Survivor takes once in a while, like I did the other day for the finale. But yeah, check me out there. I always love to plug the Pride Has Spoken podcast. Always great to check out interviews with queer Survivor players, LGBTQ plus, QIA plus Survivor players. So check those out wherever you get your podcast. That's the Pride Has Spoken, not the Tribe Has Spoken. Just clarifying here. And then the other podcast that you should subscribe to is my show Pod Friends on RH, also on RHAP. And I should have some new episodes of Pod Friends coming out in the Survivor off season. So check that out. I'm open to more ideas of who to interview because I have so many interviews that I still need to do. Some that have been recorded. So you can check that out. That should happen
Ooh.
in those should air in January and February. So exciting times.
Yes, very excited for that. Well, Matt, thank you so much for joining us as always. And thank you so much for listening. We will, be sure to
I
follow
was gonna
us
ask.
on social media. Almost forgot to
Yeah.
plug us. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Blue Sky and TikTok and YouTube at Let's Chat Reality. And of course, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And thank you so much for listening. We will be back shortly for our last episode of the year.
Ooh.
So be sure to check out that. We're doing a little awards show called The Chatties.
Oh.
So excited to see who's going to win what shows and what reality stars are going to win some awards from us. So be sure to check that out soon. And take care, everyone. Chat
Bye.
with y'all later. Bye, everyone.